Hey, 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 live from Denver. It's Friday night. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Critical Conversations. Let me make sure. Yep, we are live and we have sound and all of that. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Hey, all of the usual critics and suspects out there. I see you in the comment section. Very happy to be joined by you. As you see, I'm filing solo tonight. Mel is out taking care of business in other ways socially, so it's just little old me tonight. But we will have our Benson cam in just a moment as we welcome everybody on board. And of course, Mel sends her hellos to everybody. So hi, everybody. I do have, we'll get to that too. I just wanted to first, oh, wow. Hey, Jeff. Wow. Awesome. Yes. And I see Paris in the house. Okay. Yes. I will definitely let Mel know your well wishes, everybody. Yeah, this is just kind of a little bit of a loosey-goosey show this week. I didn't have anything real serious or set planned as far as content or anything. I always, sometimes I'll get up and go and, okay, I'm going to put this whole thing together. And then other times I'm a little bit like, well, let's see what happens. And so tonight's a little bit more of the latter. I don't usually organize my show that way, but this has been a crazy, interesting week here at the Shelton Studios. You can't see on the camera right now any difference, but there are differences all over the place here right now. In the camera setup and in the lights and in some other organizational things I've been doing, and putting my ideal studio together. So I've got some equipment that has come in. I've got equipment coming in, and I wanted to put a little plug in actually on that because there is still need for assistance from you guys if you're interested in kind of improving my lot here and what I'm doing and how I'm going about doing it. There's equipment that I've put together as a sort of ideal studio wish list, and so you can contribute to the show that way, and either partially, or if you see this stuff on Amazon you're like, oh no, I'm gonna get that for Chris, I'd be like, great, because some people have done that, and I've already received some of these items, and I'm putting them in place here, and it's really making a difference. Like I said, you're not quite seeing it yet because I'm still setting things up and figuring things out, and it's probably going to take me, as things come in and I get stuff set up. But you're going to be able, for example, for all this time, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Is all this time I have had my main computer in the other corner of the room. I'm like over here on this wall, and my main setup for editing and doing all my office work and video work and everything is over there. And so when I have and all the streaming and video calls and everything, interviews that I do, is all run by that computer. And so what's happening now is I'm setting up a computer here on this table that will run everything. And so this laptop's going to be disappearing. I have a smaller little device coming, and anyways, it's going to be different, and I'll be able to run everything from here. So you won't see me looking over there all the time because I won't have to, because everything will be under my control right here. Stuff like that will reduce wire cordage nonsense around here. Just kind of, what is this? As Mitch says, it inside baseball or something, right? I'm just kind of giving you a little behind the scenes here. Maybe I should take. Well, it's too late to take fully before and after photos, but it's really quite different here. And anyway, I have this awesome green screen hanging behind me. It's not activated right now. I don't have it pulled down, but like stuff like that's kind of coming. So I found out this week, in fact, in setting up this green screen stuff, that you need a lot of lights. Even these lights aren't even close to what I need. I need to get a few more installed just to light the green screen evenly so that it comes off well and easily and isn't a big pain in everybody's behind. in doing that. And then we'll have the possibility of doing some really, really good and interesting work, including location stuff that'll help me speed up the process actually enormously in that in the tone scale video and the metering video, now that I think about it, because the location shooting isn't going to be anywhere near as hard once I get the screen operating. So anyway, you can see I'm a little excited about this stuff. It's kind of fun. It's kind of cool to set up and work and do and make your life easier, which is all I'm trying to do, because I got so much I'm trying to do for you guys and for and for myself and for everybody else. But I mean, for content wise and stuff, I've got so it's funny to me that I've had periods of time in my life where or during as a content creator where I thought I was running out of content, and then I started thinking and went, wait a minute. And I got so many ideas of so many things I want to produce and put here for you guys. So I'm really excited. I'm excited by all the possibilities of this. I'm excited by the content that I can envision that I'm going to be able to create, and I'd like your help to do that, right? So like I said, if you want to check out, there's a link I think in the I think it's in the description of this video. It should be in all my videos now. In the description section, there's a Ideal Studio Amazon wish list. It's the first thing on the list there. So if you take a look at that and you go, oh, give me a break, Chris, I'm not giving you $1,000 for a laptop. Fine, don't, right? But if you want to, 50 or whatever, just PayPal me, something like that, tell me what you want to have it used for or something. I can earmark it for that. So this is going to be, this is going to be kind of fun. I'm really trying to take this whole thing to the next level, and I need your help to do it, right? I'm just not in a position right now to do that, but I think it's kind of give to get and get to give and all that and whatever. Okay, and there is another thing that I'll talk about later also that I'm gonna be asking for your help on, but just in terms of physical equipment and whatever, that's what that whole thing is about, okay? Oh, thank you, Laura, for those gifted memberships. That is awesome. Awesome. I really appreciate the channel's support from everybody, guys. Really, really do. Okay, let's do some Benson cam. Let's get some Benson cam going. Our Snuggles, Not Struggles cam. And I caught Benson in an pretty idle moment today. He was being a little terrorist today. This guy was all over the place. And I think he was showing a little bit of his spoiledness or something, but then he got really tired out after all of that. And so there he is, totally chilling. Oh, there's the new members there. Okay, so anyway, yeah. So there's our little Snuggles Not Struggles guy. He was definitely in a snuggling mood after his reign of terror, shall we say. It was oh god, this morning was just I was fit to be tied. Okay, I've got my little I'm organizing everything on my little post-it notes here, so let me just cross things off as we're going. Okay, yeah, I talked about that. I have a quote. I do have a quote for us for this week, and I think you guys are going to like this one. Let's see what we got here. This has to do with trauma, and I don't know, Neil Strauss. This is a quote from Neil Strauss. I don't know who that person is, but here's the quote. It says, "They say that love is blind, but it's trauma that's blind. Love sees what is." Love sees what is. I choose to think that that's true. Let me put it that way. You can be, of course, blinded by love. And of course, half of what I talk about is how people get that way. But I thought that quote was very sweet because it's kind of true. When you're seeing somebody as they truly, really are, in their best version of themselves, it's just love. It's just awesome. I love love. Exactly. Me too. Oh, no, Stuart. We are not getting a second dog. No. We got our hands full with Benson, and we're going to be just fine with him all by himself right now. Thank you, though. Okay. Now, I did want to throw out. This is open mic, okay? So I've got a few things to talk about, but there's no like hardcore agenda here tonight. I am expecting a call a little bit later that I've set up with someone who will call in and we'll talk about a new property that has related to Scientology, which I think you guys will find interesting. So that's happening a little bit later in the show, but Thomas, yes. Let me repeat that quote. It is, they say that love is blind, but it's trauma that's blind. Love sees what is. That's the quote. Oh, wow. Well, a few, Chris. Chris Wood's asking me here, what role does love play in Scientology? I mean, we all sort of fell in love with L. Ron Hubbard, as I sort of say chemically. All the same kind of processes firing off, right, in terms of the cult leader thing. But in terms of love, I mean, love exists in the world of Scientology, just like it does outside in terms of romantic love and being, falling in love and dating and all that. That exists there. But as far as what role does love play, a manipulative one, I would say, in that Hubbard writes about love and talks about how there are different kinds and how there is the meeting of the thetan, so to speak, the meeting of the souls, but there is also the meeting of the reactive minds. When, of course, we don't have reactive minds, but Hubbard was really kind of talking about how, the meeting of trauma or what he was really writing about in 1950 when he talked about the meeting of the reactive minds and that kind of a harsh, traumatic, abusive relationship is where you're really talking about codependency there. Is a much better way of describing that, because we don't have to have this artificial construct of a reactive mind to understand that people can become overly dependent, needy, and traumatically so on another human being, right? Because that person serves as some, substitute for somebody else, or they are filling some other emotional slots for this person, but it's not really who that person is. It's sort of, how codependency works. So it's pretty crazy stuff. And Hubbard does talk about that and how that can be, difficult. But then he says clearing them will usually result in figuring that out or resolving that somehow, right? Is even after their reactive minds are no longer the thing, then connecting them, then maybe they can find real mutual admiration and love and support. I don't know, whatever. It's it's not really an answer to your question, Chris, but it's the first thing that sort of came to mind when you asked about it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that whole conspiracy thing. Oh, that was funny. I'm glad I was announcing like a month ago that buzz was going to happen. The alert was going to occur on everybody's cell phones. And sure enough, it did. Wasn't fake, right? It wasn't some weird conspiracy, but I loved how like the day before, a couple days before this thing was going to happen, suddenly the conspiracy theorists were just, their heads were exploding about how this was going to activate the 5G chip that everybody had been implanted with during the, with their COVID vaccines. And we were all going to become walking zombies. Oh, Darla, thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you very much. That will definitely go for my studio. Awesome. Anyway, I just thought that was kind of hilarious, especially given I wanted to plug my news show. I've been having a lot of fun putting this thing together, and I got it down to doing it all in a day now. But I will choose 3 stories of recent events, current events, stuff happening in the cult world, and present them on Critical Cult News each Thursday night at 6:00. And I think I've done about 8 episodes now, and it's still, I'm still tuning things, I'm still working things out. I still have a lot of graphics work I want to do on it, which is why I'm actually partly trying to get this one-man studio thing down. This is my sign language for a one-man studio. Anyway, I'm really trying to get all that together because that news show was one of the things that kind of got me going, oh yeah, if I could click and bounce between screens very easily and have little presentations, little videos, things like that, I could present an even higher quality news show. So yeah, that was one of the things I was thinking about. So I wanted to plug that show because I really do want your feedback on how that show is for y'all. I don't think anybody else is doing that kind of show. A real serious, like, let's take a half hour, 40 minutes, and let's really break down some cult stories. And let's take a look at recovery. Let's take a look at laws and regulations going on across the states, having to do with coercive control and cults and things like that. Where do we stand with this stuff? And how is it progressing, or how is it not? I'm trying to cover all that kind of stuff, 3 stories a week, right? And international stuff. And I am purposefully avoiding talking about Scientology in that show because I talk about Scientology with Tony Ortega every week as well in our After Scientology Straight Up and Vertical show. So anyway, just wanted to put in a little plug for that news show. I don't know if y'all even know that exists, but it's a fun show that I've just gotten going, and I absolutely intend on keeping it up and just trying to bump up the quality as best I can on it as I go. Yeah, there was some pretty nutty stuff this week with that Socorro Town Jesus cult. Oh my God. And I got to talk all about Lori Vallow a few weeks ago, and that thing out in Utah with that mother Frank and her. Anyway, that whole thing. There's been some great stories on there. Oh, good. You guys are seeing some of them. Good. Excellent. Okay. Now, plugs aside, I thought I might mention something about an analogy or something I thought I might make that might help understand culty thinking or cultic behavior. I'm always trying to come up with examples or ways or analogies or whatever, metaphors, similes, for how can I get people to understand what it's like to be in a cult. And I thought, well, and also, of course, how does it also feel to have mental issues? Trying to explain that sometimes is a whole thing. These things are only, dimly related, but I'm just saying, I was thinking about mood, the moods that we get into, and how I've talked for years about how when we perceive through our filters, through our lenses of bias and prejudice and belief, and these are all synonyms, actually, we can warp the reality of the world that we're seeing. And because we need it to conform with how we think or already see things. We need it to be that way. Again, the brain is always predicting, and it's predicting based on earlier models that you've given it, right? Earlier places you've been, earlier smells you've smelled, earlier people you've been in touch with, and earlier sounds you've heard. I mean, all this stuff combines in your brain to form a picture of the world that you live in. The brain doesn't see anything. It's a black box device in your head, but it receives all these inputs, and from that it combines them into patterns, and those patterns can be recognized again, right, in similar ways, and this is how we perceive the world for real inside our noggins. And mood has everything to do with how we perceive things, right? I mean, you've all, and this is my example, or this was my thought on this, is we're trying so hard, or how do I put this? Okay, the other day, I was having a kind of depressive day. I was having kind of a downer day, right? And I was like, and it's one of those days where you know what's happening. You can kind of feel what's happening, but you can't get out of it. You can't. Okay, well, I get it, but that's nice, right? I'm having a depressive day, and there's just going to be hard to get some work done today. In fact, some days it's just damn near impossible. But that's a little bit different, I guess. I'm straying a little bit from my thought on mood. Let's say you're feeling a little down. I didn't mean to go depressive. let's say you're feeling a little down, right? You're feeling not so great. You're in a bad mood. You wake up in a bad mood. Maybe you had a nightmare. Maybe you didn't sleep so well. Maybe you got a pain in your hip or whatever, right? There's something going on where you're just cranky. You're just in a bad mood, right? And we all know that when we're in that kind of mood, communications that we receive from other people tend to go very negative very quickly, no matter what they were intended to be, right? Like we hear it and we have negative reactions and responses to things that we wouldn't otherwise. If we were in a better mood, if we were in a better place, then we would be thinking about those communications. We'd be seeing them, hearing them differently. Our responses to them would be different. And that's kind of the, sort of fluttering on the edge of what I'm talking about with perception in cults. In deep, extreme headspaces, it's like you're in that kind of mood all the time. It doesn't necessarily mean you're in a bad mood. I just mean you're in this cult mood, right? Where everything that you receive, everything that comes in is coming in through this filter of whatever the belief is. And like I said, when you're in a bad mood, everything's cranky, you got the worst possible interpretation of things, right? It's a struggle to stay up or to stay even normal and realize other people aren't, not take everything personally, for example. When people say things that are not necessarily an attack against you or not even directed to you, but you take everything personally, right? I mean, have you ever felt that way? I know I have. Maybe I'm the only person. But that's what I mean about how your perceptions are different. And in a cult situation, it's like that 24/7. Okay, I guess I was just trying to draw a string or connect some dots. Now that I say it out loud, it doesn't really sound as great as it was in my head, but I wanted to throw that out there as just something to think about, right? Because it like, for example, we had this, I couldn't help but laugh at the conspiracy theory, going back around to the conspiracies about the emergency alert signal thing that was tested the other day, yesterday or the day before, right? Oh, okay, Darla. Yeah, you get what I'm talking about, right? Like you have to work to not get offended, right? So we have all these conspiracy theorists who put out that this conspiracy that, that everybody's going to be a walking zombie after Thursday, right? Or whatever it was, or Tuesday, this thing is going to go out and it's going to activate the microchips. And of course it didn't do that because there are no microchips. It wasn't activating any 5G signal. And that's all just as much of a fantasy as the reactive mind is. So what did they do in response? Well, cognitive dissonance, this term we use, came out of studying that exact kind of thing of doomsday doesn't happen. Now what? Now what are you supposed to believe or think? And at least according to one tweet that I saw about the conspiracies, the answer to the question is it did happen. It just wasn't, they're activated, but it's going to take time for them to go into effect. See? The microchips that were installed in us have now been activated. Okay. So we're all walking zombies. We just don't know it yet. I mean, this is right out of The Walking Dead, you can make this stuff up. And people do, because this is the extreme example I'm talking about now, right? Of this like extreme bad mood, this extreme, like I have to, when you have to hold on to a belief, when it has to be true that we're all getting zombified, right? If this doesn't happen, if this isn't true, then my whole conspiracy worldview is threatened, So it can't be that it's not happening. You guys get the idea. I know, Liz. It is not sensible to be asking questions about such things. Okay, I do see a couple of phone calls in the queue, and I am going to get to those. Let me just take a quick look here. Yes. Yeah, see, Brian's smart. He just avoids people when he's in those moods. Uh, but the thing about, but here's the thing, right? Here's what I don't know if I said this out loud. So let me say it one more time and then I'll wrap up on that whole thing. It's like being in that kind of a mood all the time. I think like all the time. Like it never goes away. It never stops. And if you were receiving perceiving the world through that lens all the time, it would be kind of exhausting, right? It would take a lot of energy. It would consume a lot of your attention trying to either maintain that or deal with maintaining that mood. And a cult filter, a cult belief set is just like that. It's always there. Always there. It never goes away. It's this whole way of looking at the world where, people aren't people, they're spirits with reactive minds. And you really see things differently when you're looking at people that way. At least I used to. And I've talked to other people and they've said the same thing. So, interesting stuff. All right. Now we've got, like I said, a couple calls coming in, and this is a call-in show. And I did say it's open mic, so I guess I should pick up some calls. Here's our first one. I believe this is Paris calling. Hello.
Hello, Chris. How are you doing?
Hey, I am good this evening. How are you?
Always better when I hear your voice.
Aw.
I hope Melissa's doing great.
Yes.
And Chris, it's an amazing topic you're bringing up because of the mood. And I have to say today, I want to announce that on your channel, this is 8 years now. Today is the anniversary that I got out of my abusive relationship. Today is the day. I hope you guys in this community appreciate and celebrate it with me because it was a hard struggle.
Absolutely.
And it took me a while. My daughter is now 11 years old, and it is today the day. And I really wanted to celebrate it with you because I'm so proud of it. And I hope you all agree on that. It's a big journey. Yeah. And with the mood that happens, well, I understand what you said about the mood. I sometimes struggle. So after I had this abusive relationship, I came into this good relationship. I have a beautiful husband. He loves me how I am. He never questions me at all, or my daughter. He is amazing.
Good.
But still, there are those situations where I feel kind of questioned, where I feel like my mood is still in this, back in the days where I felt like I have to explain myself. And I get immediately into this bad mood, and I'm thinking everybody is against me, and right. I don't know how to explain that. Is this something psychological? Is this something I don't even understand?
It's
nothing to do with the cult.
No, it's a trauma response. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. I mean, you could, I'm not going to necessarily know what the triggers are or where it's coming from, but you're talking about a trauma response here, that sort of like inappropriate emotional responses or feeling like you're not where you should be or want to be and something's off or something's wrong, and suddenly communications you're receiving are, putting you on edge, that kind of thing.
Exactly. That is what happens. And it's so wild to hear when you say that it's happening to you when you were in a cult. I just can't imagine how you guys survive that. Because for me, it's already like so heartbreaking sometimes because I'm trying to survive with a daughter having this trauma. But how do you guys survive trying to build up your life after what you experienced in a cult? It's just for me outstanding. And I'm just very proud of your education you bring to this channel, and I really appreciate it. And that's what I try to say. I'm sometimes struggling with myself and doubting myself and thinking, what do I do wrong? What can I do better? But I don't know. I try to have consultations with a psychologist. Of course, I try to put my daughter in a better position. I don't want her to suffer because of what I went through with the biological father. I tried everything, but still there are those moments I just don't understand what's happening. And this is this mood I can't explain really. And I think, as you said, it has something to do with trauma, right?
I did. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me from what you're describing. And again, I'm not a therapist. I'm not pretending to be.
No, you're not. You're awesome. And since I checked your channel, it happened me so many times just to rethink my perspective of life and how I continue doing things and how I handle things. You know, it's very important also to look at the other side. What are you doing? What is your responsibility and accountability? Where you should go. Anyways, I just love that you were bringing this up tonight. It's an awesome topic. And Chris, you're amazing.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks for calling in.
Of course. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I wanted to, before I pick up this next call, I wanted to throw a book recommendation out for everybody, and as well as, and everybody meaning everybody in Paris as well. No, this is not just for one person, but it came to mind while we were talking, and I thought this might be helpful education for anybody who's wondering right now about what we're talking about with trauma responses, and this mood thing and all of this that I'm talking about. There's a book called The Body Keeps the Score, and it's written by Bessel van der Kolk, and I'm just throwing it out there that if this is something you are really interested in understanding in yourself and others, that would be a fantastic place to start in figuring out how trauma and what trauma is and what it does. Okay, so yes, and definitely, as Leslie says here, be patient with yourself, always. You know, that in fact, I mean, not to get evaluative or tell anybody, like seriously, like I will just say in a broad sense, in a general broad sense with people and trauma, one of the trauma responses people can have, in other words, when they're triggered by their trauma, is to beat themselves up, right, for their responses. And that is that negative self-talk that I was talking about a few weeks or a month ago or so, right, where I talked about that, about how we can, you know, oh, I'm such an idiot, I'm such a fool, oh, why did I do that, right, and we direct this mirror at ourselves, like, constantly. That's not good for us to do. And all it's doing is it's us kind of acting out that trauma, right? And responding to it with more of it, right? So there's as kind to yourself as you can be, please be that way. You know, there's no reason to beat yourself up over any of this stuff. Life is bad enough and beats us up enough as it is, right? All right, I've got another call here, I believe. Hello, is this Darla?
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hey, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. First off, I just wanted to say, give Paris a word of advice from someone who has been dealing with long-term trauma since, you know, a baby. That, whenever we start to get that inner dialogue that you was talking about, where we kind of go down that rabbit hole, you know, you got to turn it around. You have to, some suggestions I would do is, you know, I just get out a book of, quotes, for instance, and look up positive reinforcement. It's not, because when you go down there, all you're doing is reliving the past, and reliving the past does nothing but continue to put you in that place. And so that's just one thing I want to say is that I have a lot of empathy for her, and to find ways just to, whether she writes down her emotions at that time, journaling is always a good thing. But that's what I wanted to say to Paris in regards to that.
Excellent. Thank you. That's a great comment.
Thank you. I wanted to talk about this. Well, it's going to be a conspiracy.
Oh boy!
I think.
What do we got?
It's about the Maui fires, and I was on the YouTube and my algorithm. I listen to Joe Rogan a lot, and he just had Gabby Talbert. What's her name? I'm just saying her name wrong. She's from Hawaii. And
Gabby Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And they're alluding to the fact that Oprah may have been a part of this, starting of fires. And they showed a part where, right in the center of Lahaina, everything burned around except for her property. And she's just constantly buying up all of this land on the island of Maui. And I haven't listened to the entire podcast yet, but I always held Oprah at kind of a high self-esteem. Now, this is many, many years ago. Now, I kind of see her for what she is, but what do you think about all this?
Well, I'm Googling it right now, in fact, because this is the first I'm hearing of this. And the first thing I found is that in response to this Instagram post that Oprah started the fire, and there's this whole conspiracy theory about Oprah, among others, is responsible for the recent fires. And and this says PolitiFact is where I'm finding this right now. It says, we've previously debunked a claim about whether the governor said he wants to seize land to turn Lahaina, a historic city on the island, into a so-called smart city, and about Winfrey, who reportedly owns property on Maui and was accused of painting a home there blue to protect it from directed energy lasers supposedly starting the fire. Wow. No evidence that she started the fires there. So I don't know. I know that's not directly what you were asking about. That's just the first thing I found.
I know. I have to look into it more too, but it just once again proves to me that, wealth and greed, they go hand in hand. And I believe that Oprah is just as capable of doing this kind of shit as, people.
Well, fair enough. I think that anybody who has money and power is capable of incredible good and incredible bad. And we don't know, their hearts. What we know is their actions, and we can judge people based on their actions and to some degree on their words. And I don't have conclusions about Oprah one way or the other. I find it a little implausible that she would have been responsible for, the Maui fires or anything like that. However, what I will say is that opportunism is not always obvious. And it's very interesting how people will profit on things in unobvious ways, in very roundabout ways that you might not necessarily know about. I find, examples of that all the time in various weird places, right?
Yeah. So I'm not saying that, yes, I didn't really mean to imply that Oprah had started the fires.
Oh, okay.
But that she's part of this larger entity of people that are actually looking for the state of Maui to become like an AI place.
Oh, okay.
Now,
yeah. Interesting.
It's batshit crazy to me. You'll have to look into it more, and maybe you could, give a little briefing on it sometime.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Let me note that down.
All right.
Yeah, AI land. Because I'll tell you my first thought, and I'm not just like trying to paddle this back at you like, what a silly idea. I'm just saying, I would not, if I were forward thinking with climate change being the way that it is, I would not set up any operation on an island that's probably going to be affected by sea level rise in the fairly not too distant future. I mean, we're talking decades, but still. I don't know. I'd have that's the first question I'd be asking. But I don't know. I'll check it out.
Yeah, you check it out. I got to check it out some more too. Maybe I called in here a little rushed about it, but I just was like, man, This is crazy.
Absolutely. And AI, like I said, I don't mean to, I'm not going to poo-poo on the idea that very rich people will gain or will seek to gain on or profit from disaster. Happens all the time, and I don't know that Oprah is above that. So I'm not going to sit here and say that's not happening. I don't know yet.
Yeah, so it's just something for all of us to think about, right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, Chris, whenever you want to get rid of Benson, I'll adopt him.
Thank you, Darla. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, I rescue pets all the
time. Awesome. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay.
Have fun.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Looks like our prearranged call is coming in here. So let's go ahead and pick this up. Okay. Hello. Is this Brian?
Hey, Chris. How's it going?
Hey. Welcome to the show, man. So you have something to talk about, yeah?
Yeah. I wrote a book.
He wrote a book. I read it. I saw it.
It's a book of poetry. It's about Scientology. It's kind of different, and it's kind of hard.
Well, first off,
think about what you're writing.
No, totally. Let me ask you a couple questions here. Let me help you out. First off, about how many poems are there in this book?
There's a total of 36 haikus and 12 limericks for a total of 48.
Excellent. And every one of them is about... Go ahead.
Plus there's a foreword by Liz Gale and an afterword by Claire Headley.
Oh, nice.
In there.
Great.
Yeah. I was able to get some help with it. So.
Excellent. And what I keep cutting you off. Go ahead. What was it that inspired you to do all this writing?
Well, I'm a poet. I've been a poet since I was a teenager, and I was watching back in late March, early April. I was watching one of the other ex-Scientology channels, and he was playing around with ChatGPT, and the people in the chat were having him ask questions to it and all this other stuff, and someone had him write poetry, had him ask it to write poetry about Scientology, specifically haikus and limericks, and I was kind of jealous about what this thing was producing, 'cause it hit all the points and all this other stuff. And then later on, I was, something in me goes, I can do better. So yeah, it wasn't, I didn't intend to write this book. It just happened, and that's all it just happened. Something grabbed a hold of me and goes, you need to write this. And I wrote it.
Awesome. Well, and yes, folks in the comments, this is from a poet that I'm talking to right now. Yeah. So excellent. I read them, of course, because you sent them to me, and I thought they were cute. I thought they were funny, and I thought they, and they made sense. They were clever. Some of them were really clever. So I thought, I didn't have any problem endorsing that, or I told you to please do publish this thing, and you've gone and done it. What is this book called, and how do people find it?
Well, it's called All About Scientology: My Scientology Haikus and Limericks, and it's available on Amazon. All you got to do is if you go to my YouTube page, there'll be a link there on the YouTube page, and there's various Facebook groups and stuff that I know a lot of people that are in the chat probably are members of. I've put it in there, but if you go on Amazon and put in a search All About Scientology, mine will come up first, and then the second one is actually a discontinued pamphlet from L. Ron Hubbard, of all things, called All About Scientology.
Okay, excellent. So it's the one. Fun. What author name do they look under?
Brian Lucas.
Okay, Brian Lucas. All right, folks.
If you put Brian Lucas in there, a bunch of them will come up. But if you search All About Scientology, that'll be the very top selection in books.
Excellent. And and you're Brian with a Y, is that right?
Yes, sir. That's one of my pet peeves, but that's a story I don't need to get into right now.
Okay. All right, cool. How about you share one or two of them with us since we're here, and these are poems and limericks.
Yeah. Well, I got a question for you. Which one made you laugh the most? Can you remember?
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't. It was a couple months ago that I first read those. I wish I could remember the names. I'm just so you know, I'm horrible at that. So
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, that's okay.
I liked that. I remember liking the haikus because haikus are very clever to me. I remember that. I remember thinking, oh, these are clever. There were, and like I said, a couple that were really clever. I should have noted down the names of them. But anyway, give us a couple samples.
Okay, well, let's see here. I'll give you one of my favorite ones. It's a haiku, and it's my 16th Scientology haiku, because when I went through it, and I put my first one as my first, second, and third, is kind of a way to differentiate with them, and it's actually the order that I wrote them in.
Oh, okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my 16th Scientology haiku goes, Scientology, you can quit any time, but they won't let you leave. I honestly, every time I read it or I think about that one, at the end of it, and I'm actually, right now, the duo guitar solo from the end of Hotel California comes to mind.
Exactly. That's the first thing I thought of too.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to bring, to evoke. There's a lot of pop culture in them and stuff like, let me do this one. You know the character Duke of Chug, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, this is a limerick called All Hail the Duke of Chug. Here we have the Duke of Chug, in toast he's first to lift a mug. To him it's quite fine, partying like it's 1999. Oh my, he sure can cut a rug.
Yeah, until they cut his head off, I guess.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a funny one.
The inspiration for that was, I don't know if you know Marilyn Honig.
Mm-hmm. I know who she is.
Does she does the outfits. She did a Jedi robes for my Mike Ringer bobblehead. Pretty neat.
Oh, cute.
But she did a Duke of Chug outfit, and the dude had a big stein in his hand, so that's where that inspiration came from.
Got it. Excellent. Okay.
Yeah. Well, let me read you one more haiku before we Got
Yes.
it. Before we close this off, if you don't mind. And if you got any other questions, or if there's any questions from the people in the chat, I'm not looking at it right now, so I don't know.
Oh no, you're good. I'll talk about the Duke of
Okay.
Chug after we're done with this, Leslie. I'll give you a quick rundown on that one. Give me one more.
Okay. Let me. Well, the very first one, my first Scientology haiku, and this one woke me up out of bed. I was going to bed, and suddenly my brain goes, Brian, Scientology is a 5-syllable word, and haikus have 5, 7, 5, so it makes it kind of easy. My first Scientology haiku goes like this: Scientology, give up all your money and humanity too. I think that says it all right there.
Actually, that does say it all right there. It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
and then
good.
It goes on. It goes on from there. The structure of the book is like 3 haikus and a limerick. The thought was 3 thought-provoking, clever haikus, and then a funny limerick. Because, like you said, on the laughter, this is a very, very heavy subject that we're all fascinated in. I find it fascinating on so many levels.
Yeah.
And laughter is a good way to deal with it. I'm very big on gallows humor. It's got me through a lot of dark situations in my life.
Sure, absolutely.
And so I wrote this, and I've just recently been going through some darkness, and I talk about it in my introduction, and finding this community has kind of helped me a lot in dealing with that. And the most important thing about this book is I plan on 50% of the net profits. After Uncle Sam gets their, shot at it, if it sells well enough, I'm going to be donating to the Aftermath Foundation.
Cool. Excellent.
So that's why it's really, really important for me to get out here and, and talk to you guys about buying it. It's not just because I want to sell it. Of course I do, but I'm using it because it's a way for me to use my talent. The only thing that I have that I can give to help out a good cause and
Excellent.
To give back to something that helped me out immensely.
Excellent. Well, I very much appreciate it. And like I said, folks out there, you can find this on Amazon under Brian Lucas, all about Scientology. All right. I'm going to let you go, Brian.
Thank you so much for having me on, Chris.
You bet. Talk to you. All right.
Bye.
Excellent. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, Chug, as J.R. Exner says there, oh my God, Chug is the ruler of a world ruled by computers. This was an L. Ron Hubbard issue. Chug, the Duke of Chug was a corrupt politician who was found out by a computer system that ran the planet, and he was extorting money or something. And so the point of the issue was a computer system was running a planet. And it was programmed in such a way that it could, logic its way through things and figure things out. And it, added up all the figures and found out the Duke of Chug was this corrupt politician, and it ordered him to his death, if I remember the whole story right. So that's the Hubbard goal for, it's funny. It's funny that he would use that as an example, actually, now that I sit here thinking about it, for how to demonstrate the efficiency of a planetary computer system. It can find the guy who's stealing the system. It doesn't improve conditions in life for anybody. It just finds the guys who are corrupt. Like, it's an interesting concept, isn't it? That he would go in the negative rather than emphasizing all the positive that a worldwide or planetary computer system could bring. He said, anyway, it's just kind of funny. Scientology's, yeah, there you go, Liz. Good stuff. Okay. I said I had one other thing I wanted to ask you guys for help on. I didn't mean to make this episode like this entire thing about a big ask or something. We just got on to talking about that stuff. But there is something else that I need your help with. I am transferring my podcasts to a new platform. I've got the Sensibly Speaking podcast now totally transferred over from a website I was running it on to Podbean. And they are now running it on their hosting service. So all my files are there and not taking up, this other place. And I get statistics like immediately, like daily on the listens and stuff. I actually get quite a few listens on some of those podcasts I didn't know about. And anyway, but I set that whole thing up with the intention that I would also bring my Critical Q&A podcast over there. Well, it turns out I only got the plan for one podcast. I need two. And so this just sounds so stupid and silly, but it's just kind of a reality that in order for me to bring the other podcast over there and get it distributed amongst a bunch of more platforms, it's on Spotify, iHeartRadio, a bunch of lists of stuff, Panasonic, or not Panasonic, what am I saying? Sony's got podcasts, Amazon podcasts. There's about 6 or 7 major podcast platforms that my podcast is out on now for sure. And I want to do the same thing with Critical Q&A 1. So anyway, in order to port that over, I need $200 to put there a couple years of account so that I can safely bring it over and know it will stay there as I, continue building up. So if any of y'all want to help with that, that would be very, very appreciated. Okay, let me just X that off the list. And with all of that, oh, I heard about this Twin Flames thing, X-Cyan. Yeah, I want to check that out. I heard something about this documentary happening or coming out, but I wasn't quite sure what it was about. So I will definitely be checking that out. Let's get our cognitive bias of the week out of the way here at the end of the show. Availability heuristic. We've covered this one. Your judgments are influenced by what springs most easily to mind. Now, actually, listen to this one. This is an important one. It's called availability heuristic, which sounds like really super scientific and complicated. But it's really simple. Your judgments are influenced by what springs most easily to mind. How recent, emotionally powerful, or unusual your memories are can make them seem more relevant. What were we talking about today? This, in turn, can cause you to apply them too readily. Try to gain different perspectives and source statistical information, okay, to avoid that availability. In other words, what do you think of immediately? Oh, that must be the answer, right? It's like, no. Then I wanted to share with you tomorrow's podcast is with a woman named Dr. Laura Anderson, and she has written a book about religious trauma and getting over and surviving religious trauma or spiritual abuse. And she's got this whole book on it. We have this hour-long talk about the subject of trauma. We didn't really we went into religion a bit in it, but mostly we were talking about trauma, which is why, it's one of the reasons it's so much on my mind today. So that podcast is going out tomorrow. I hope you guys will check it out. I think I called it Cults and Religious Trauma or something, but it's a really, really good talk. It's an hour talk, and I really hope you guys will listen or watch. She's great. I really plan on having her back. Laura's awesome. And Critical Q&A this weekend. The plan is for me to record a pre-recorded show tomorrow. That's my game plan right now, but anything's possible, right? So stay tuned. I might switch it up to a live show on Sunday, but probably going to be doing pre-recorded. All right. So that all being said, guys, let me see what else we have here. Just looking in the comments. Absolutely, Brian. You are very welcome. Let's wrap up. Okay, thanks very much for coming around, guys. This was fun. This was a fun hour to spend with you. I hope you feel the same. And yeah, I'll see you this weekend. Bye-bye.